And welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Board Work Session, Budget Deliberations for October 27th, 2021. It is 1:37 p.m. My name is Ty Vincer, Chair of the Board. Commissioner Vice Chair Gary Edwards. To my left, County Manager Miro Chavez, Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, Commissioner Carolina Mejia here as well, and we have public access through our county YouTube channel. This session runs from 1:30 to 4. Probably take an intermediate halftime break, but we'll stay with the same video feed, and we're picking right back up where we left off this morning.
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you very much. I am actually going to go backwards for our first item. I thought I had found the one I wanted to go back to, and here it is. On page 18, line 81, you were having a conversation about the prosecuting attorney's request of $100,000 a year for diversion services. And we have a response from Prosecutor Thunheim. And basically, and I also have an opinion from the COVID experts. And what they are saying is that, yes, we can pay for this. It is COVID related and we can pay for it out of the recovery fund. So the prosecutor's plan is to use this money, and I'm reading from what he wrote to our team. Our initial plan is to use this money to contract with a community diversion provider to provide these services on a per-case basis. This means if we have authority to move forward, we could allocate the program expenses to ARPA by identifying the specific cases it was used to fund, and they would not be hiring FTEs with this request.
It's a contract, third-party contract.
Contracted services.
Commissioner Mejia.
I have a question. Would it be a charge to the people accessing this service? So like a defendant got referred to, like Friendship.
That is an excellent question that I can't answer. Yeah, I don't know. We could certainly set it up to where there's no cost to our clients, but then you'd have to differentiate between the ones that are COVID cases who are getting services for free and the others who may have a charge.
I mean, Friendship, if I remember right, has, I don't know how good and how precise it is, but there is some kind of sliding scale mechanism. I don't think it's ever free because they wouldn't be able to operate otherwise, but there's a little bit of provision for contingency, but I don't know the answer to your question because I didn't realize it was a third-party contract at all.
Yeah.
When I was.
I didn't either. I don't know. It just, for me, it makes me wary because, just the Friendship, it works for some people, but it doesn't really have that equity, really built into it just because of, how it's set up. So for me, it just makes me nervous. I mean,
Is that
since
the
it's a
only
third party
community provider there is?
I don't know.
That's the only one that's doing it in that way. I don't know that that's, I'm sure there's others that could do it, but I don't know of them being operational in this region. Friendship Diversion was a program that's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Yes,
The whole time I've been in Thurston County.
Me too, and I've been in the county a very long time.
Do we need maybe to have that question? I mean, I guess what I'm, if this is really about the case backlog, versus hiring new attorneys to process cases and stuff, I mean, it's probably an efficient way to go about it, even if it gets rid of just a certain stratum of cases, but it would be good to have the information that Commissioner Mejia asked about.
Okay.
There's a chance to follow back up with Prosecutor Thunheim.
Right, so we'll continue to have this on hold, and we'll get an answer from the prosecutor to that question.
Good to know we have option though in there.
He knows we're having this conversation because he's been emailing and stuff.
Okay,
I don't know if he's watching now, but he's aware.
cups are out.
Okay, so, all right. So I thought we could pick up this afternoon with looking at some of the bucket items. And we'll pass these out. The first one is training. Let's look at all the different requests that came in about training. Now, some of these you've already seen. When they were gonna be in a bucket, I tried to put them on hold, but you may have already made decisions about some of them. But this is the overview of the offices and departments that have made requests. See, and the very last one on page 3 has already been approved, so thank you, Denise. She's trying to stay on top of these. So what we have in total it's in here. Just under 200,000 a year in requests for training. And the ones that came from various offices and departments were specific types of training for their own staff. Then on page 2, line 4, you have the county-wide training pool that the county manager has suggested. And you also, on line 5, have the $30,000 requested by Human Resources to put our training online in the LMS, Learning Management System, I think is what LMS stands for. So,
I have a question as we
Yep.
move forward on this.
go ahead.
If we were to create a bucket, if you will, would that bucket be overseen by HR? And HR would have the final say over who gets to go to training from which office and division?
Good question.
So it would depend on how the board structured the bucket.
Well,
If, for example, we set up this $100,000 and called it countywide training and it's mandatory training, then every employee would benefit from having this pool and nobody would be choosing who. Everybody would get it. But if you make it something like, we brought in the lean training, that opportunity was run twice and it was opened up to managers and people every office and department had an opportunity to send 1 or 2 people. Is that?
Yes.
So.
Applying to get that again.
Oh, right. Each office and department got to choose who benefited. HR wasn't the gatekeeper.
But I thought that Ramiro's idea was about trainings that apply would be open to everyone, like that. Like
Professional development.
it wouldn't be just a pool where sheriffs say, or public defense says, I want to send all my senior lawyers to the National Criminal Defense College in Georgia.
Right.
Can I have some of that money? Because then you'd have Commissioner Edwards' problem that there wouldn't be enough to go around and who's going to decide who gets to use
That's
the
right.
pool.
Yeah.
So which one are we talking about?
So Commissioner Edwards said who'd get to decide, and I said it would depend on how you set it up.
You set it up.
Okay.
It's up to us, but I mean,
Yeah, it's totally up to you.
it's not, the request as it's in here is not say one way or the other.
It's not the gate time.
I guess my concern is that I don't want to micromanage the assessor or the auditor. I don't mind so much with divisions that we have direct control over. But the individual elected offices, I'm very cautious about trying to tell them how to do their business and circumvent their authority, if you will, to do what they think they need to do.
In many cases, I agree with you. I don't want to micromanage the assessor either. No desire to do that. But I do think that there are some things that require training countywide. The ethics training that we all have to have, the sexual harassment training that's required, we all take the driver's training. And one of the things that you might consider here that would come out of this 100,000 is we would all have training in diversity and equity.
Yeah, it does really, sorry.
Oh, no, okay. I was just gonna say, just kind of off base completely. With training capacity kind of being, I feel, amplified via Zoom or via different online methods. I understand before where they're used to, the kind of only method was to have employees travel to receive some trainings, but now I think a lot of these trainings have switched to an online format to try to kind of accommodate the pandemic. So I'm not as keen as just opening the floodgates quite yet, just because I feel some of the trainings have even gone to become free or reduced price just because of them not being in person.
Premature, might be what you're saying,
Yeah.
like Commissioner Edwards says about this office space. We don't know where things are gonna land, and we may need 100,000, we may not.
Fair enough.
I think I agree with you.
I'm not there for the total concept of developing training. And yes, certain training does require mandatory, but maybe they can watch a video. I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying that might meet the requirement.
Maybe something in the middle. You may consider the request from the elected offices, and there will be a, on a one-on-one decision. And you may consider setting aside a pool of money for countywide training for the departments. They need training. And the approval process will be, I hate to say this, the county manager.
Or your
Or the
designee.
designee, right? So, those are the options that you have. Maybe not
I
the
think,
100,000.
to me, that makes more sense than trying to micromanage individual offices.
I agree with you, because if we go countywide pool and we get into the elected offices, I don't think I have enough stripes on my coat to give them more.
Well, I mean, if I could just take this for what it's worth. Number one, $3,500 for district court. Okay, well, that's kind of like the conversation we had about the copier lease. Like, I think they can probably manage that. Number two, $21,000 for sheriff corrections. And the next one is $13,000 for Sheriff Corrections Academy. Now, didn't we approve the academy one with DST?
So not all of these are marked with what you have and haven't approved. We haven't had time
And
to
then
go through. So
the
you may
additional
have.
21,000, I know we added 90,000 of training. I think we added 2 different training bumps to the sheriff in the time I've been on the board. Whereas a lot of groups have gotten no training bump. So that's a consideration for me personally. The next two are the human resource kind of countywide thing we're talking about. The next one's public defense. That's in kind of a standalone one. And then public health looks like we've already
That one we know.
dealt
that
with,
we were- yeah,
with our newfound foundational money.
That's right.
So I don't know, it's like, I'm not really, other than we already dealt with public health and the sheriff correction academy, I'm really not that interested in anything except maybe public defense. Just, if you look, he provided some data that, so I guess my question is, in trying to understand what Romero and Commissioner Edwards were saying, are you saying create a pool that the departments would come to you, and then on the electeds, we just deal with them individually the way we have historically?
You have requests from the electeds.
That's what I'm saying, we would just deal with them one by one on an individual basis.
Yeah, if you set up a pool, it will be for the departments. No.
Putting it into their budget the way that it's been just traditionally. That's what, I just want to understand what the
That's what I'm
proposal is.
thinking.
That's what you're thinking, okay. And then a smaller pool that the departments could appeal to Ramiro for, like, and that would apply to public defense, who's been spending 20 to 25,000 and with a $10,000 budget. Commissioner, and again, I'm a little more, I mean, obviously I know the public defense world better. I just know that there's mandatory like you have no choice but to keep your bar license. You have trainings that it's not just to make it better, it's also to like legally operate.
Right.
And so that's why it's such a grab bag of, go ahead.
No.
I was just saying that's why kind of we wanted to deal with this kind of at a high level, because in some cases, it's like the assessor was talking about, he's got people that have mandatory things they have to do or they can't be certified, that obviously all of our lawyers.
Many of us do.
Coroner has people like
Right.
that, yeah, I mean, all of us have,
Continuing education credits and
and I think that should be covered, period. But
those are not.
But some things we've seen, requests, and have just, I'd like to get more training for my people, and that's a good thing. I'm glad our electeds and directors are wanting to see a best, well-trained force,
I
but
think as I'm listening to what you're saying, I think you just start gelling on what the parameters will be if you set aside a pool for the departments. The conditions of that approval will be for CEUs in order to maintain a certain license.
that has to be priority one.
Yeah, and that might be something you may consider as you have these discussions.
Many of our offices and departments already have that baked into their base budgets.
Some they don't, like public defense.
I have to say,
Some do and some don't.
I really think maybe we're premature on trying to figure this out at this point in time. I think maybe we just better stick with status quo, the way we've been doing it, and maybe discuss this at a work session of some type. That's all.
This year or next year?
I don't care. Next year is fine.
Which means,
So with the big pool, I feel like I see it kind of like in a longer run as well. I'm more interested in that 30,000 to build and expand the trainings through the LMS. Like that to me is important because I remember as an employee myself, going to the HR website and trying to find what trainings were available to me and going through the LMS website and what a pain that was. And how outdated a lot of those things are. And let's say, like, for example, I was really interested in the lean training. And the one that they had on there was a class that they'd given like 4 years ago, and they just couldn't remove it within the system just because of how the system is set up. And so, but it was still like showing there. But so it's like things like that where I feel like something like that would be a good first step to kind of see where our employees are at, and seeing kind of like what resources we can, give to the workforce right now that, wouldn't also, run us dry. So that's kind of like, I'm leaning more towards kind of updating the system that we already have and amplifying it more.
So, the request for you to consider 100,000, that is, the reasoning behind that, as you may recall, was in response to the resolution that were passed declaring racism crisis in Thurston County, which one of the key elements of that is training to county opponents. So that is the reason behind as to what that request was, just to provide that additional perspective on that.
But we could fund that
Well,
on an
that's
individual
expensive.
basis.
If you do it right, it's extremely
You
expensive.
know, I had a couple meetings with the YWCA because, at least from my point of view, you know, it has to be, that training has to be intentional. Because we have cultural diversity training. There is a half-hour video in just check the box you have taken it. The training that we're envisioning under this umbrella is more intentional. It requires a little more effort. But just provide that
Do we
perspective.
need a plan, as has been talked about in other portions, before we move forward to this decision?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just all that. I'm just providing that additional perspective.
I'm an advocate just for the sake of time, if nothing else. There's a lot to talk about, but this isn't the time to maybe make that decision you're talking about. Somewhere down the road, for me. Status quo we'll have to do until we have a work session sometime and put it on the agenda.
All right, so
How you want to proceed on the training?
I'm in support of number 5 and number 6.
Number 5 and number 6, I guess I need.
So I have a question on, so could we, on number 6, which is public defense, they've been budgeted 10 to 11,000, and these 2 of those years, they spent 18 and 19,000. So 30,000 additional dollars, he's proposing it to be 40,000. And I know there's probably been, and I think Pat's made this case to me, so I understand the argument, but I'm just wondering if we could get.
Oh, he's requested, I thought it was just 30,000, like, so on top of the 10,000 he has to like increase it to 30,000. That's what I understood, so maybe I understood
no, he's
wrong.
asking for another
Another
30,000.
Which would
30,000.
make it 40.
So,
And I would rather, I want to give some additional resources here, but I'm not sure we can go. So, if you gave half that amount, you'd take the 10 up to 25, which would at least budget for the high year that he's listed out.
Yep,
So
do that.
50% allocation to public defense, and public health we've covered. Commissioner Mejia, you're proposing 30,000 for LMS,
yeah,
and then we punt on the 100,000 countywide pool for the time being. That's what,
We're starting on a plan now.
okay, and then we've already covered number 3, I think.
Yep.
yeah, we
Yeah, I
already
already
covered.
checked, that's already,
Yeah, we already approved it.
Then we've got 1 and 2 to deal with, I suppose.
Correct.
And I'm not inclined to fund those 2.
so just to clarify, is the board approving 5 and 6?
So
6 at 50%.
let's go down the line
Okay.
so that we can get the right. So line number 1, 3,500 a year for district.
Hold on, I need to find this because this is my record.
Yes, the line is, it's on page 15, line 68.
Wait, what? Line,
Page 15, line
Oh.
68.
Because this is my cumulative log of your vote.
So he wants to use this one. So yeah, it's line 68 first. Corresponds to line 1 of the training book.
Yes, it does. So thumbs,
Thumbs
oh, I
down,
see
thumbs
2
Just a second, just a
down.
second. Which line is it again? 68?
Line 68.
And that's for the
page
3,500?
3,500 for
That's two
district.
thumbs down.
I'm gonna give a thumbs up.
All right, and 2 thumbs down. So that is a no. And then we've got the sheriff corrections, 21,000 for training. That is ranked a 5. So we haven't started.
21.
Yeah. Training, it is on page 27, line 167, it's the top line. And thumbs, I see 1 thumb down.
Was that for sheriff's training?
Yes, it is.
Correct.
For corrections.
For
Corrections.
I'm up.
1 thumbs up, 1 thumb down, 2 thumbs down. So that's a no. And then we have on line 3, I think that we've already said yes to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, detention sales tax.
Yeah? Oh, that's right, BST.
Where are you at on that? Which line? Line what?
So I am now on line 4 of the short.
Oh, you're on the short one.
Well, we're trying to be
We're
both.
going back and
Ramiro's
forth.
on the long
Ramiro's
one.
got a fun
I'm on the long
big
one too. I was trying to get to the long one.
For the,
It's hard to cross 2 of them because they don't have any.
Yeah, let me get to you, Commissioner, give me just a second, okay?
so for the number 3 on the short sheet, it is number 14 on page 4, and that's the one we passed, Commissioner Edwards.
And we already authorized this
Yeah.
increase for the sheriff correction.
Right.
So that's already been authorized, that's a yes. And then B 2209 is on page 36. It's line 203. Because it was ranked an 8. Which means we had 2 mediums and 1 low. And I see a thumbs down.
This is the 100,000.
This is the
Oh, yeah.
100,000, yeah,
Down.
3 thumbs down. I say no. And then we've got 5, we've got B 2213. Oh, here it is, it's on page 28. It's line 171. This is the $30,000 to improve the content for online training for all employees.
I thought I heard Commissioner Mejia said she wanted to do that.
She did want to. I haven't said anything yet myself. I
So,
need to jump to that and see.
So this ranked a 5, it got 1 high and 1 medium and 1 low in your scores.
so 20,
And,
Because this is to build that online training process.
to,
So
yeah, have
Enhance it,
content.
enhance it.
enhance it, yeah.
Yeah, because right now it's pretty bad.
That
So
was
with
the
that,
low.
do they need the full 30 for that?
That is an excellent question for Maria.
Or can they do less?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, 30,000 really is a modest request for countywide training. It's just,
yeah, but this is just to develop the process of the training, isn't it?
No,
No.
this is the
the
content.
content.
So we're not showing 70s videos on there.
Just to be clear though, this is an expansion of countywide training. I don't want to leave the impression that we're not funding any countywide training. This is asking to expand.
How much is there in there now?
Build and expand.
Maria, I don't know how much training Maria has.
I don't know, I couldn't say.
She doesn't have much training.
Maybe our amazing budget team would know how much training is in the HR for countywide purposes.
I can,
She's looking it up.
Yeah,
How about this? I pledge that I'll make a list, and we get to the end of this process and Robin tells us, you guys didn't spend enough money. We have so much more capacity. I'll promise to make a list. I'll bring this back for consideration. Promise.
Well,
I
that will
mean,
not be the case, Commissioner.
Just saying.
I have put this on hold, so we come back to it.
But Denise, do you have the answer to that question? How much training budget?
There she goes.
sorry. My back, no. It's harder to figure than I originally thought. I'm guessing it was probably in professional services as opposed to training. Yeah, professional services.
And they
So
have a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
that. Yeah, no, we don't, there's not an easy answer.
Okay,
There ain't much. That's what it comes down to.
so what, you wanna hold this or?
How about let's do something, what do we got there? High, low, and medium. That's $20,000 worth.
That's a new rating?
Yeah, All right, Commissioner Edwards, you got me on that one.
Okay, good, let's do it.
We got 3
20,000.
thumbs up for 20,000, all right.
That was creative, so I'll go with that.
All right, so next you have,
Public defense.
public defense.
And that is page 30, line item 180.
Page 30, line item 180, so it didn't.
Yep, it is. And what I heard you discussing was 15,000.
Got 3 mediums. Sounds like a 15,000.
Sounds good to me.
So, which one was it?
It's line
Page
180,
130, page 30.
And the
line item
proposal is-
180.
funded 50%.
Is that okay, Commissioner Mejia?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, 15,000.
So with this action, you have funded Patrick Attorney's top 2 priorities.
All right, that's how the buckets work. So the next one, we're gonna tackle something a little more controversial. And that is the leave buyouts. And at 2:30, we'll talk about COLAs. So, this 2 pages are all of the requests that are in the budget for leave buyout. But before we look at the specific ones, I want to say that if offices and departments knew that they had a shot at getting their leave buyout funded, they would have all come in with something. So this is one reason that a pool concept is one way to go. It's not the only way to go. But every office and department is experiencing a hit on their appropriation from having to pay for leave. So if you don't choose to fund the pool, then I would strongly suggest that you not fund any of these because it's not a fair playing field.
Commissioner Edwards has a question.
Yep.
Is this a negotiated item with different bargaining units? So one unit or another might have the ability to cash out half of their leave or a quarter or sick time, or are there differences that apply to different bargaining units?
I would venture to say yes.
Well, then that makes it that much more complicated, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah, which is why the first concept that the group that worked on this, we brought you a concept with certain offices weighted so that they pay in a little more because they pull out a little more, but that was extremely complicated. And when we looked over a longer period of time, every office and department had kind of a peak where they pulled out, had to pay out quite a bit of money. So the last proposal that the group presented to you is a flat amount that's assessed equally in every office and department based on salary paid, and would buy out half of the buyout upon retirement only, not any separation, but only retirement for all types of leave. And I'm looking at the screen. If I got any of that wrong, Denise will chime in. So
She says you got
thumbs
it.
up.
But how does that work, though, even at that half, if you will, if individual bargaining units have different criteria that they're allowed to participate in?
All we'll do, we tried to make it very simple. If an office pays out $10,000 to someone who just separated, the leave buyout fund will pay $5,000 of that. We just made it super simple.
Reimburse them.
Well, even super simple might not work. Say something comes up, a vaccination mandate or something like that, and people have their time in, and they just don't want to do it. So it's gonna maybe force a whole group to take this
Retire.
option. What do we do then? That kind of a deal.
Well, that's, any fund, we've done our best estimates of how much we'll need in the first year. We may need more, we may need a whole lot less. We tried to estimate the proposal includes $500,000 in startup money from the general fund that we would just deposit in the fund, along with the amount of, I don't know the right word, I'm gonna call them assessments, where every office and department would pay in from all the various funds across the county. And after that first initial seed money from the general fund, then the general fund would just pay its share. And if over time we find out that we didn't estimate enough, then we'd be paying out on either a first come, first served basis, which is what we've done in the past in the county when we had a sick leave buyout pool, or we'd be telling the board, hey, you need to put more into this.
I guess from my perspective, I'm almost looking at this the same way I did on the training. That here we are, you folks have probably kicked this around quite a bit. Maybe you know a bit about it from different proposals that were brought forward. But I bet you had more than 5 minutes to make a decision about what you thought might be read better or not. And here we are as the commissioners trying to make a $500,000 decision. And we're gonna do it here in the next 10 minutes, which I don't think makes a lot of sense. And not that it isn't,
So
the
that's
proposal
why
isn't good.
This is the fourth time you're hearing about it.
I know, but amongst many other things. And I'm thinking that if we could have this as kind of a work session to discuss this as well, so that we get to see more of the options presented, that's all.
So I would also add, again, my recommendation as your budget advisor is either fund the pool that everyone can benefit from or leave it status quo where everybody's just absorbs the
Well, I won't leave it
cost.
status quo until we figure something out. That's okay, that's just me.
And then the next opportunity, because we have a biennial budget and this is a policy decision, is you'd hear about this 2 years from now. Because I need you to make budget decisions by tomorrow.
So for me, I see it almost like the risk pool where each office has an opportunity to kind of pitch into it and save up just in case an employee leaves or retires. And from the elected offices that I meet with on a monthly basis, and as well as directors, they've all said how much they supported this, just for the fact that it would take some pressure off of them. So I think it's definitely a good way to approach this on a holistic level. So, I mean, for me, it's either leave it status quo or go for this. Because I feel a lot of offices and departments didn't do their retirement buyouts because they were hoping as well that we would fund this. So that's kind of where I'm at. Either leave it as is or go for the 500,000 and see how that works. And then if it's not working, then we can reassess in 2 years. But if it is, then we can reevaluate at that time.
So Commissioner, was this status quo?
I'm status quo.
So you're asking for, compromise? of the
Nothing
bucket,
or
so-
everything.
I'm in the middle, like always. Historically, this has been absorbed across the board,
Yes.
and so I do think this is a good direction to go. So I would like to create a 25% pool buyout and then deny all the requests. They have to absorb 75%. If this works well, financial means we can step it up in the future. I'd like to get the concept going because I'm convinced that it's the right long-term approach. It's just a hefty price tag right now. We're trying to do, just want to remind the board, we're doing a lot of awesome programmatic things, and from creating a rainy day fund to upping our fund balance target to dealing with racial equity in this county to, climate action, improving, getting body cams for the sheriff's office. We're doing a lot of stuff. We can't do it all in one shot. And this is one thing that I think we can definitely all see the path forward. Let's get it started. So I don't know if the 25%, I'm assuming these numbers were based on a 50% buyout.
They are.
We could lop them in half and create a 25% cost share from the general fund, but I'm not willing to go beyond that myself.
I'm ready. I think that's a good compromise.
Yes?
Yep.
Great.
Okay,
And
so-
Denise has got her hand up.
I would be happy first thing tomorrow morning to kind of rework my numbers at 25% and provide those to you first thing when we get back together tomorrow morning, so you can see what it really looks like at that point.
That'd be great.
But
And we're gonna hope it's about half.
Yeah.
I'm gonna record.
Me too.
Is 3-0 in support of a 50% reduction of the ask amount.
And then it is a thumbs down to all of the rest.
Although we do, let me just see, one of the,
So let me,
I just want to clarify because the treasurer had a combined, his wasn't just,
That's right.
so we could say no to the retirement leave up to 70, but yet we
Right.
could say yes to the overlap. It's a different issue, I'm just
The
saying.
double fill was about 20,000 of that.
So I would be willing to fund the
double
the
fill.
double fill. But not the-
All offices and departments generally absorb that as well.
How much does he return?
The treasurer has a
I
very
think he's
small budget.
earning about $800,000.
the treasurer?
No.
I don't.
Who is reverting the 800? Which is unusual.
The treasurer in 2020 reverted $27,000.
He doesn't
It's
have
pretty
that
tight.
much
I mean, I know that's a crazy amount, that's why it's stuck in my head. I must have misheard it.
So, a thumbs up or thumbs down for the $20,000 for the double fill. It's one time, 2022 only for the treasurer. I see 1, 2, 3 thumbs up.
Which number was this one?
That is,
Page 7, line item 41.
Pretty much, the number one identified priority for each elected official is gonna weigh high on my,
I
regardless
think
of.
it's the only ask
He's the
from
only
the
ask.
treasurer.
From the treasurer.
That's what I'm saying, it's a matter of,
Well, then why don't we give him the full vote?
So
because
which one
part of
is
it was the retirement, the
Oh.
buyout that we're kind of saying,
You're just consistent.
being
I'm
consistent.
Oh, okay.
sorry, where was it again?
That's
41?
page 7, line item 41.
Okay,
Let's go to the next one, which is B20.
and 04, it's ranked 5.
Okay, where are we at? I'm sorry.
So that is on page 26.
Okay,
Line 164.
164, and I assume that is a,
The buyout for law enforcement.
that's a 3-0 no.
okay.
And
Are we applying that same formula there? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
Which makes it what dollar amount?
0.
0.
It would be 0 to this.
well, they'd get a 20, they could apply to get 25%
That's right.
from this pool.
From the, right, from the pool.
So they'd get 25% of this,
Without allocating to that person, to the,
And when they do this, doesn't this come out of like vacancy savings and different things like that?
When they absorb, yes,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
Offices and
So
departments.
the
Okay.
next, I mean, the next page, page 27,
Yeah.
line item 168, and that's the same, but in corrections, so that's a no.
You know,
You're just marking your sheet for what we already did.
Yeah, I just want to confirm that.
he's recording the official record.
I'm not being-
My official record.
I'm letting him do that.
And the last of all this is,
Unanimous.
yeah, it is B29. That will be on page 28, line item 174. And that is a no.
Okay,
And I think we're,
But he's eligible for 25%.
Yep.
exactly. All right,
good job, commissioners.
we buy out, done. And are we gonna have Maria join us at 2:30?
After 2:30, she's available after 2:30.
After, so let's have her join us at like at 2:45,
Yeah.
let's set a time for that, so I can
Can I
watch the
have
clock.
a closed session for you to consider, to have a conversation related to the,
COLA,
And this is at 2:45,
uh-huh.
so we could go until then.
So we can look at the next bucket. And these are items, well, let's look at this one. So this one should be pretty short. Yeah, this is super short because really the only, there's only one item on here for you to consider. This is about the ERP. The board funded, Commissioner, the board funded backfill positions for the ERP project in human resources, financial services, and information technology department. And I hand you one now, I might not have given you one. The reason that the project team asked for those particular ones to be funded were because the heavy lift is coming on those 3 departments. Now, there's also a major piece of the lift when we convert to budget. That'll be a year from now. And we have a large amount of work right now in central services around the procurement piece. But I have chosen to absorb the backfill cost of those. So this year you saw requests from 2 departments for additional staff to work on the conversion to the new system. And upon closer inspection and the conversation with Shelley, the public health requests were verified or clarified to not be really attached to the ERP. That's just one more thing that's going on for them. So really the only request you have is from Public Works. But when requests were coming in, we turned to our consultant and our quality control experts and said, in your experience with a structure like Thurston County's, do offices and departments need additional staff to be able to do the conversion? And what the consultant has told us is no. In their experience, those core staff, and they gave us a list of people that we would probably need to backfill that would be committing substantial amounts of time to the project. And they said the amount of time that will be committed by other offices and departments is not substantial. So my recommendation to you would have been for both public health and public works for you to say no to these requests. However, again, public health clarified that theirs weren't really about the ERP, so you have approved that. And I would also say that something that the consultant did not take into consideration is the fact that we are strongly recommending that we do away with a system called CAMS. And Public Works, it's like a shadow system. It does both finance and project management for Public Works. We want them to convert into the ERP. If they're going to eliminate CAMS, then I would say that they need this position.
And WinCams is the same as CAMS?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is probably, I appreciate the consultant's perspective that is the intent is to move away from WinCams. That is a heavy system that Public Works needs. Get into the ERP. And Public Works is the only department who uses this. And this request is related really to address the WinCams. So my recommendation is for you to consider approving this. And it comes from the
It comes from the road fund.
It does have an impact to the general fund. And I do believe the department needs staff to dedicate the transition from WinCams to the ERP.
So I would agree, because we have just recently heard that there may be some resistance to doing away with CAMS.
Proviso?
So if this position is intended to WinCams, then the department is committed to move away from
And
CAMS.
for that reason, I 100% support this because we got to get out of CAMS.
Yeah, and that justification is
ERP.
specifically to WinCams to move into ERP If there's a resistance, that's something the director needs to address that matter.
Okay,
I'm fine with it.
with that clarification, I'll support it.
3 up, thank you.
Which, where is this one at?
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Last page, 4, item 21 of the Public Works.
Yeah, it's not a
It's
general
not in
fund,
here.
it's
Report
not a
number
general
1.
fund impact.
Oh, I see, different, that's why I can't find it.
Right, but
So which one?
Report number 1.
Okay, great.
Yep, so that's on the
Page
condition that
4,
we do
line
can't.
21.
We have another bucket to do?
I've got a few other buckets. We could talk about the, we had prepared a DEI bucket, I did not print it because it, you've already taken care of everything
Okay.
on that list, so we didn't need to.
Uh-huh.
This one, thank you, Romero. This one is about technology, all of the different technology requests that you've seen. And again, some of them you've already dealt with, so that this might be quick work. For example, you've already said yes to the Just Appraise
Yeah.
software. You have said yes to this data sharing.
Yep,
The assessor, the licenses, you said yes to that.
smartphones, we said yes, I think.
Yep, you said yes to the smartphone. See, it all adds up. Line number 9 was for sheriff law enforcement. I think that was a yes for the laser fiche licenses. Line 11
We
was,
took care of that.
yep, already done. It's the body cameras.
We don't need this
And
bucket.
Boston Harbor, oh, those were all done. Yep, so, done with that bucket. These, you've looked at a bunch of these. I'm not sure if any of these are on hold. This might be where the whole thing breaks down a bit. These are the items, oh no, this is done. So this is for the ones for the law and justice one-time funding.
We took care of
You
that.
spent it, but you should take a look because these are the items from the coroner. They all scored an 8, which I think is
Pretty telling.
2 mediums and a low. So these items from the coroner, when we hit them in the general fund review, because we haven't gotten to the 8s yet, you will know that there's no law and justice. And
We spent it on body cams.
it's all spent on body cameras. All
We
right.
spent the whole thing.
So let's see, last bucket that I have is, this was something that they're court administration type requests. So it was, every year you tend to see a group of things that come up, like a theme. And we seem to see a bunch of requests for court administration. So we bundled that so you could see it all together. And there was a little over $1 million in the first year, about 900,000 in the second year. And again, you've already addressed some of these. So the clerk, Mary, you're
think we
gonna have
already
to
did
help
this.
me. You've looked at a bunch of these. And what I don't remember is what your
Yeah,
decision
the
was.
number 1, not yet.
No, we did the Superior Court piece of the ninth
Oh,
judge.
there you go, we
We didn't
haven't
do the
hit this
clerk.
one
The
yet.
perk is still coming up.
Still not here, okay. So here are the various requests related to court administration. There's a request from the clerk for FTEs, 2.5 FTEs to support the ninth judge.
And that is coming up.
Yep, I'm just gonna walk through this list. There is a request from Superior Court for 2 FTEs to support tonight's judge. I think you've already addressed that one.
What did we do?
Why do, and those aren't similar, we're talking about $500,000.
Yeah, they're different.
They are different for sure, I mean, they
Because
don't,
one's from the clerk
I
and
know
one's from the
that, but-
court.
J, court reporter, and then whatever, all the different things the clerk does, she's wants 2.5. She wanted 3.5, we gave 1 already.
Right.
But I wanted to know what we did with the Superior Court.
Yeah,
Just
you
to-
will only, let me get to you.
I think we funded
Yeah, I think we funded one, but let me, that was 605.
Can you find it, Romero?
Yes, yes, you did you decided on both.
We funded both.
Okay. Then, line 4 of the short sheet is also Superior Court. They have asked for a jury administrator for Chandler Court, and you can fund this from ARPA funds.
Have we done this
I
yet?
don't think we
You
not
have
got-
not
I don't
done
think-
this yet.
I thought I heard that it wasn't necessary
Oh, no. They,
during our discussions amongst us as commissioners. Seems like I remember.
Commissioner Mejia made some arguments. We'll get
That
there.
was part of the conversation the Superior Court had in terms of an additional jury administrator for a backlog.
it would be for Chandler Court. And they've expressed the need because they've got, two courts that they're running.
So that is on page 38,
Did we discuss that already?
line item
You
20.
weren't in favor of this, were you?
No. I used to be, I did the jury administrator job, so I just,
It says this request is currently requested a part of the ARPA court backlog as well.
yeah.
Right.
Page 1.
So we'd be doing the backlog and we would not fund this out of general fund.
What was the note line number, Romero?
This is page 38, line item 208.
So that means it was a lower rated one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about this yet.
So you might as well go on. Because we're going to address the backlog in a
Right.
different stream.
Right, I would say no to this out of
Yeah,
general fund.
I put low and high of ARPA.
Right.
Which number is it?
208.
That's exactly what I've got, is why can't we use ARPA and low, so.
So this is 30.
So as a general fund, we're denying it,
Yeah.
and then we'll take it up with the.
Yeah, and we'll address
And
the
it's,
backlog.
Consider
it's part of
what
the
we need.
discussion when we're talking about how to manage the backlog.
Okay. So it's something.
I don't know,
Okay.
do we need to do that? If Commissioner Mejia is not in favor of it, and I'm not in favor of it, what can we
We
do?
can take that up at a different point, right?
Well, that's part of the backlog, the authorized $1 million.
Yeah.
And I'm working with all the partners to determine what are the needs. And this came up as part of the need.
Do you have anything left of that million?
No, because I asked them to provide me with their plan in 2 weeks. And then we'll see if it hits the $1 million they authorized. And at that point, it's a different conversation.
So we're not giving any of the million back.
No.
We're gonna be able to spend it all.
Okay, no decision on
No, on this, we're
208.
saying
No
no
to general fund.
to general
it.
fund.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
And we're delaying decision as to ARPA.
We're delaying the decision on ARPA.
You already made a decision to authorize $1 million.
Okay, but
I'm just working with the partners as to how we're gonna
Right,
utilize the.
it'll be
They're gonna
part of
decide.
that
Yeah,
million.
so.
you'll kind of be managing whether that's an appropriate
Right.
ask within the context of all the
So
asks.
I'm
Right.
not planning for you to come back, for you to authorize each
Unless-
element of the $1 million. That's not the intent.
Okay, so all we really need to say today is thumbs down.
No to
general
the, that's right. Good, good.
Because that was our, that decision you're talking about, we already made that decision.
Exactly, that's what we're trying to clarify.
All right.
All right, so then the next item, it ranked low by everyone. Superior Court requested court commissioner salary to 90% of the judges.
I think we already said that. Didn't we already do this one?
No, you've not looked at
And
this one
say
yet.
no?
We ticked through it, but we didn't get to the.
You already
That
say
is-
no
that
if you
is
haven't.
on page 39, line item 213.
It's at the bottom of the heap.
What is a Superior
No,
Court
I
judge's
see one
salary?
thumb down.
Do we know what a Superior Court judge's salary is? In Thurston
Not
County?
at-
I
not-
The
think it's,
Superior Court judges, it's 197.
197.
And they're getting 85% of that?
Yeah,
That's, I'm okay with that.
Okay,
so
that's
So
a
thumbs
no.
thumbs down. Thumbs up.
And then the next one on this list is a Superior Court request for about $10,000 for the court reporter increase. We did already look at this, and what did we do with that one?
Get back.
That was a no,
That was.
I think
Yeah.
it was too.
that was a no.
Yep, that was a, no. Yeah, that was denied.
And where was that located?
That is on page 15, line item 67.
Okay, then you've got a request from juvenile court. The next two items, there's a request from juvenile court where they're giving some money back. They're gonna eliminate a position. They're gonna continue the 2% savings. That frees up $43,000 in general fund money. And Superior Court wants to use that money to create a position.
For which one are you looking at?
I'm
Line-
looking
line
at
eight.
B0609, it is line 8 on the short sheet. It's adding an assistant court administrator for the combined juvenile and Superior Court.
It is, page 25, line item 159. It starts at 158, so it's 158.
It is
159 and
158 and 159 combined. So the impact to the general fund is roughly $100,000 a year.
Number 2 request from Superior Court.
Yeah, they just got a new court administrator, and I think that she needs to get acquainted into the system to determine whether they need this position or not.
Give her an opportunity to see if she can fix it without.
Right, my recommendation is for you to not to approve this.
Yeah, they also have a court administrator and they have 2 court operation managers that are running the place, so I don't know why they would add another level there, it just, I'm voting no on this one.
I'm going with Commissioner Mejia.
So are you still gonna
We're gonna not
eliminate the
take the money
position in
back.
juvenile court and take those savings?
Okay, I want the savings.
Yeah.
I think we have to do that because it wasn't like, that was seemed to be independently just like legitimate.
It
wasn't
is
like, oh, we
legitimate.
take a pound of flesh because we really need this. It was more like, this
Right.
is a place, a way we can make this cheaper
A little more palatable,
for you,
yes.
more palatable, but it was still a legitimate proposal.
Okay, so we will take the position and the savings and we will not add the position in Superior Court.
Okay.
All right, so with that, if Maria and Debbie are available,
We had more here, we're not.
we
we
can
just
do the
finish
last few. Sure, we can do the last few. 10 belongs to that. 11 is a request from the Superior Court for the this is the court security reorganization. You ranked it quite low, it rated an 8. It is 11. It's on page 33 of the big sheets, line 193.
Priority number 8.
So this is where I was very confused about this one, and maybe someone else understood it better than I did.
Nope.
No.
I'm almost certain I didn't, because it's like, where does it land? And
Okay, yeah, I mean, no, I was like, okay, where does this,
They would create a Department of Court Security, basically.
but then, I mean, for me, the confusion is like, well, do we get all those employees and they're under our umbrella, the county's umbrella, instead of Superior Court? So the current employees, the contract they just negotiated, would that have to be? I was just very confused by like
See, that's
this proposal, and so
this has been an old proposal by May, and I think you're
Bring us back,
familiar with
Romero.
that. And the proposal is to take and this is the core security under the commissioners, right? But it's not like they're proposing for us to take all the stuff with it, because they want to keep, I believe, their staff, the security staff, so they can do security within the courtrooms. And then it will be a responsibility of the commissioners to fund positions to man the security points.
so I'm off screen, but my question relates to, well, kind of a follow-up to that then. So then we would have to create kind of like another, we would have to fund the officers that are currently there with them as a new kind of their court, and then we would have to kind of do another courts or building security, I guess, for all this. Oh,
So
okay.
my suggestion for you commissioners, considering that we're gonna go through remodel this campus.
yeah,
And security will be part of that remodel.
the central point is,
So I wouldn't.
is really gonna be critical because the clerk will explain to you, like, transporting documents across the court complex will almost require that.
So anything I think is too premature to even consider, my 2 cents on this.
I mean, the sheriff's office has expertise and they have a statutory authority over the court security. So to me, if the court wanted to work with the sheriff's office and figure out something that worked for them, my ears would be very open to that. But if the sheriff doesn't want to do that for whatever reason, or I don't like this idea of the independent group, given the flux that we're in with the court campus. I don't know, what do you think, Commissioner?
I think I'm gonna go with the county manager on this, because I think it's just too premature.
Okay, we're all agreed then.
So on page 33, line item 193 is a no.
93 is, okay. The next is one that you already dealt with. It is an increase associated with a contract. I believe that was a yes.
I think so.
Let me wait for you to catch up around.
Give me just.
Yeah.
Yes, that would already approved.
Okay, and then the next one is B0702. It is from District Court. This was time for the Pro Tem. And I think you split it in half.
Doubled the 8
Yep,
days.
and we gave them 18,000 on that one.
Funded the half, which would take
Yep.
them to 19 days.
That one was taken care of. And then the last one
This
was
is on
rated
hold.
a 2. It is the court interpreter, and it's on hold to see where we land.
Okay, so that's that bucket. Now we're up to closed session. Should we take a break or? Start at 3 o'clock?
Yeah,
That's a-
Maria, if you're listening, are you ready to join while we have a break?
We'll join at 3 o'clock for a closed session, so the public won't be, and how long do you expect the closed session, Ramiro? This is pursuant to RCW 423140. And regarding collective bargaining session with employee organizations, how long do we want to allot?
Maybe 15 minutes.
So picking up at 3 o'clock, so 10 minutes of a break, 15 minutes of a closed session. Public can expect around 3:15 that we'd be back in public session. And with that, we'll break.